Now, in this part 2, we're going to look at the first reading and the psalm. Now, I think you're going to find these readings very challenging. They seem to go from one end, from sacrifice, to radiance. But the reason is because, you see, the radiance is God's love, and so is the sacrifice. We're going to have this text on the sacrifice of Abraham. Talk about obedience, talk about faith, right? And then we're going to have a text that tells us, it'll be from the letter to the Romans. Excuse me, I just want to let you know what it is. Yeah, it's in that beautiful chapter 8 of Romans. And then you would expect something on the Passion for that, but it isn't. It's the Transfiguration, the other end of the same rhythm. Because for the Christian, as for Jesus, suffering always is completed by glory. Saint Therese said, first thing that's going to happen when I get to heaven, God the Father is going to hug me and say, now it's my turn. Isn't that beautiful? That's getting a grasp of the whole rhythm of life as a Christian, living it and preparing. And so, the text begins. The first line of the text is a explanation to the reader, the listener. It says, you see, and it so happened after those things that God tempted Abraham. Nisa, God put Abraham to the test, tested Abraham. Okay? And so then it says, and so he said to him, Abraham. And he said, Hineni. Hineni means, behold me. When it's said to God, this is the way it's said. You know, one of the great medieval commentators, Jewish medieval commentators, Rashi, commenting on this text, says, it is the sign of a man of God or a woman of God that he agrees to do God's will even before he knows what it is. All God has said so far to Abraham is, Abraham. And he says, Hineni. Whatever you want, I'm here for it. Now it's interesting, twice more Abraham will say that in this text. Once to his son and once to an angel. There it means, yes, I'm listening. When you say it to God, as Rashi already pointed out, you're saying, I agree, God, whatever you're going to say, I agree. That's the sign of a man or a woman of God. They're ready for God's will. I just trust you. I love you. I want to do whatever you want. And so it starts that way. Now, what does he want? And he said, take now your son. And now he starts to describe him. Your Yachid, your only begotten, whom you love, Isaac. God's not making it easy for him, is he? Take your son and go. No. Take your son, your Yachid, your only begotten. Why does Yachid have to be there? Because this is an image of God with Jesus. God the Father sacrifices his Yachid. And so we're being given a lesson. You see? That God's love, God's plan, you see, that's more important than all our Yachidim, whatever they are. And so, you see, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him up as a holocaust there on the place that I will show you. See, ha'alecho, Allah is in there. Allah is the word for go up. The word for holocaust in Greek is olah, because it is completely consumed, a holocaust. But the idea is that it totally goes up to God. The whole thing, there's nothing left. We're not going to have a meal with God. It's going all up to God. The whole thing. Ola. And so it's saying here, offer him up as a holocaust to God. You see, and it says it twice. On the mountain that I will speak to you. Now, the editors, because they have to watch the parking lot, leave out some lines, but I'm going to read them because they're important. To feel the depth of this man's obedience and trust. Now this is in sometime around, well, the 18th century BC. This text was written about written like as we have it, after 1200 BC. How was this kept? It was kept by oral memory. Because every believer, every Jewish believer looks and says, that is my father in faith. He has paved the way. He has shown me how to live. And so we're going to read that part. Early in the morning, Abraham got up and saddled his donkey. He took 2 of his young servants with him, along with his son Isaac. When he had cut the wood for the burnt offering, he started out for the place God had spoken to him about. On the third day, Abraham caught sight of the place in the distance. So he said to his servants, "You 2 stay here with the donkey while the boy and I go up there. We will worship and then return to you." Now, the holy commentators say, he knew, he says, we will return to you. He knew God was going to do something. Maybe. We will worship and then we return to you. But he really didn't know what. He's got to take the only begotten Son. How many times had God promised him this? Now, every promise is there in his son Isaac, and God is saying, offer him up as a holocaust. That's why he's our father in faith, because God and his will is more important than anything else. You see? Took the wood for the burnt offering and put it on his son Isaac, as the rabbis already said, as a man carrying his own cross, because he's on his way to execution. Then he took the fire and the knife in his hand, and the 2 of them walked on together. Silence. They're walking together. Isaac said to his father Abraham, "My father?" "What is it, my son?" he replied. "Here is the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" "God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son," Abraham replied. You get the pathos of this, huh? And the heroism. That heroic faith and the memory of it was passed on for centuries. That's why the Jews will always say, our father, Abraham. And that's what Paul calls him when he starts to treat of Abraham's faith in Romans 4. Okay? When they came to the place God had told him about, Abraham built the altar there and arranged the wood on it. Next, he tied up his son Isaac and placed him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand, took the knife, and prepared to slaughter his son. The word that is in our text for that, where is it here? Anyway, I didn't put it down, I guess. Prepared to slaughter his son. Okay. But the Lord's angel called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." And what does he say? Hineni. This is a man totally at God's disposal. Hineni. "Do not harm the boy," the angel said. "Do not do anything to him, for now I know you fear God, because you did not withhold your son, your only son, from me." That line comes in Romans 8 about God the Father, doesn't it? He didn't spare his own Son, but gave him up for us all. See? This is trying to give us a glimpse of how much God the Father loves us. He's willing to sacrifice his Son. Abraham looked up and saw behind him a ram caught in the bushes by its horn. So he went over and got the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham called the name of that place, "The Lord Provides." It is said to this day, in the mountain of the Lord, provision will be made. The angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, I swear solemnly by my own name, decrees the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, in whom all the promises are. Everything God ever promised Abraham is going to be true only in Isaac. Okay. I will bless you, and this is the solemn promise. Which the children of Abraham. I will bless you, and I will greatly multiply your descendants. They will be as countless as the stars in the sky, or the grains of sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the strongholds of their enemies, because you have obeyed me. All the nations of the earth will pronounce blessings on one another, using the name of your descendants. May you be as blessed as Abraham. May you be as blessed as Isaac. That's a blessing. And because of all that God did for Abraham, he's still our Father. His name is one of the most completely known names, widely known names in the whole universe. Abraham. And so, that's the end of our text, okay? And the end then is, because you obeyed me, may you be as blessed as Abraham. And it's what they call a reciprocal text. We don't have that form of the verb but I want to make doubly sure, since I've got a little bit of time here, to just show you that. They will all, you see, blessing, I will bless you. You see? Isn't that interesting? We don't have that. Excuse me, I've got to find my place. Okay. Verse 18. Because that, blessing, I will bless you, and so forth. Everybody will bless themselves in your name. So, may you be as blessed as Abraham. May you be as blessed as Abraham. That's who he is. Now, why is this put here on the second Sunday of Lent? To show us the depth of God's plan, the depth of our need to respond to it, the depth we need to be ready to sacrifice, as Abraham did and as God the Father did. And so one of the first things we learn in Lent is that it's all about love. It's all about love. But love is always sacrificial, because it always puts somebody else first. It puts God first. In a way, God put us first. In this we know the love, it says there in that famous John 3:16, that he gave his only begotten Son for us. That's how we know the love. All right.